Exams can be stressful. In fact, exams are particularly stressful. Whether they just be sort of your end of year exams at school, or they be important things like your GCSEs or A-levels. And it was GCSE results day yesterday. I got my AS level results last week and I was pretty happy with them, but I know a lot of people really struggle with revision, they struggle with the pressure of exams. Sometimes they don't do as well as they deserve to do because they can't cope with the whole stress and drama of the situation. So from experience, I've been through my GCSEs, I've now been through my AS levels. I can probably give some advice on how to deal with the stress and anxiety of exams and also give some revision techniques. My GCSEs I didn't really revise for. Big mistake. I mean, I did okay, but I could have done a lot better, and I've learnt from various things like some sort of techniques that work for me. I've got a couple of different techniques that I can show you guys, and hopefully they will help when it comes to exams, when your exams happen. And so yeah, now I know that revision is not a pleasant thing and there are lots of things you would rather be doing, such as and while those are all great and entertaining things to be doing with your time, when it comes to exams, you're probably better off, revising. So I will deal with the stress and anxiety part of this in the second part of this video. But the first part, I'm just going to go through a couple of revision techniques and things that have worked for me in the past that might work for you. Flashcards are your best friend. If you learn from writing stuff out, going over something, sort of putting it down, then testing yourself, flashcards are the way to go. Now it depends, there's a couple of different ways you can use flashcards. I used flashcards mostly for geography, and I had different topics under different colours. The way you can write flashcards is literally just to write out your notes in really simple bullet point form, read through the card, put it down and try and read through everything that you have on that card from memory, then see if you've missed anything, and that can also work if you have someone there to test you as well. Another way you can do flashcards is kind of what I did for ancient history mostly. See if I have these here. What I did for ancient history is, okay, I don't have any examples with me at the moment, but what I did for ancient history, I had about 200 flashcards. I had a fact, I had a quote on the back of the card, and then on the front of the card I had who said it. So you can use those, they're kind of reversibles, you can test either way. So this works if you're doing an English exam where you need to quote things, or if you have something that has sort of question and answer. What you can do is you can say, okay, here's the guy, name a quote, and then there's a quote on the back so it's easy for someone to test you. Or you can do it the other way around and say, here's the quote, who said it, and then you've got the answer on the other side, which is a really handy way to work, especially if you have people to test you, especially if there's people sort of like your parents who maybe don't know anything on the subject. It's a really easy way to test yourself and to test others and to get others to test you. Now this all may look terribly daunting, all of these sheets of paper. However, something I found really helpful in my geography AS level is I would use different colours for different case studies and different sections of like the exam. So in geography it's split up into 4 different sections. You've got coasts, rivers, restless earth for example, and then like coasts and, okay, I've already said coasts I think, but you know, you get, see I don't even remember this, it was months ago, I don't remember my topics. But something I found really useful was writing them all out on sheets like this that were coloured and sticking them up around my room. If I can find some photos of what I did, I'll put them in this video. But I had all along behind my cupboard, I had them all put up, I had them all around my mirror, so that every time I was in my room, if I was just sat on my bed doing something, I could just, if I wanted to go through things in my head, I could just look up, oh, there's the answer, it's on my wall. I even got to the stage where I ran out of wall space, so I started sticking these on my ceiling. And if you have good vision, or I had to use binoculars, my ceiling's not that high, but when I was laying in bed I could sort of look up, and that doesn't work for some people you need to just completely shut off, but for me my mind is always going. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I need to check something, and I could just look up and there it was. So that's a really helpful thing, and I find the colours help massively. If you just write all these out in black pen, I mean that might work for you, but for me, I need the colours. Okay, my light's being red, but I need everything to be in different colours to show that sort of like organisation type thing. Something I've never found particularly useful was just going through my textbook and highlighting. I mean, that might work for you, that is a method that you can use, going through your textbook and highlighting things, then you can read it that way. But I find if that's something that works for you, there's something that can help make that stick even more, is after highlighting everything, going back and with the same colour that you've used to highlight, writing out on a sheet of paper just the lines that you've highlighted, so it just sort of solidifies what you've learned. The way the memory sort of generally works is, so the repetition of stuff really sticks, so the more times you can go over stuff and the quicker that you can go over it, the easier you're going to remember things. So just constantly having that sort of thing, rewriting or looking at the same thing, the same colour, they're all things that can help make it stick in your mind. Something that I've never personally used, but something I know some of my friends have used, especially if you have dyslexia, something that can really help with revision is listening to your notes. So everyone's pretty much got, you know, phones that can record. If you just have all your notes in front of you, take an evening to record yourself reading them all out in a really simple way that's gonna really resonate with you. Then when you're on your way to school or college, when you're out, when you're at home, you can just listen to them, which a lot of people I know have said that really, really helps. Or even if you can get permission from your teachers to record, if they do like a lecture or something, then record that, because that can be really helpful. You're getting direct information straight into your ears, and it's like having that class over and over again, which I know can be really helpful for a lot of people. This is probably my last tip, but I think it is so important when it comes to revision. Is I cannot stress enough how much working in groups helps. I mean, it might not help for everyone, but I know for me, just talking about what I'm learning, it helps so much, whether it be on the phone to a friend or in a group of people all discussing the same topic. If I feel like I'm trying to teach people stuff, then I feel like I'm learning it more myself. For my GCSEs, I remember just before a couple of hours before my history exam, we never had a history teacher properly, so we were also trying to teach ourselves the syllabus, and I'd been going over the book a little bit, and I remember everyone being like, tell me what you know, and so I just went through and sort of spoke about it. It was like teaching people. And when I got into the exam, I felt like I knew it so much better because I had been teaching people, because I had been speaking about it. And even when it came to my AS levels, loads of my friends take ancient history with me, and so just talking about it in a group, talking about testing each other, but really like giving it discussion, helped so much. I cannot stress that enough. It makes such a difference than being sat at home by yourself, just reading stuff in your head, speaking about it. Even if you speak aloud at home, I cannot stress enough the importance of speaking it. That's probably my biggest piece of advice I can give you in this video, is just speaking it, because it makes it stick so much more. I mean, it might not work for everyone, but that's what is a really big factor for me when it comes to learning stuff. So that's pretty much all the revision techniques I can give you. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds more, and there are probably way better videos than this that are going to tell you them. And a lot of colleges and schools do offer a lot of support. I know my college has like an upgrade system, so if you do struggle with revision, there is literally no shame that everyone struggles with revision. So get as much help as you can, because at the end of the day, your grades are, I mean, they don't define you or anything like that, but they are kind of, important, and you want to do the best that you're physically able to do. And it's a shame if you waste your potential because you didn't want to ask for help or something, because there's literally no shame in asking for help. I always have to ask for help for everything, and I'm really happy I did, especially when it came to my AS levels, because I'm really happy with how I did, and I knew that I did the best I could, and that's sort of the best feeling when you open your results and you know that you did your absolute best. So now we're on to dealing with the stress and anxiety and everything that comes with exams. Now, I personally have really bad anxiety for a lot of things, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, and so exam season was a really tough period for me. But I feel like now I've gone through that, I could probably give some advice of things that I didn't do, things that probably would have helped me, and things that I did do that did help me. So my first point, I'm going to go straight into it. Get enough sleep. Please get enough sleep. I know it seems so obvious, but I cannot stress enough the importance of sleep. I was pretty lucky. I had a pretty good sleep cycle throughout exam period. I was going to bed at 9, waking up at 6, sometimes waking up a bit earlier so I could do some revision in the morning. I mean, it all depends on how you work, but especially if you're going to go to bed at 9, don't work up until 9, work up until 8 and then have an hour to completely wind down, because if you work right up until 9 or 10 or whenever you want to go to bed, you're going to get into bed and your head is not going to be able to relax properly. You're not going to get a really good quality sleep. You're not going to be able to fall asleep into a really nice deep sleep that's going to help your body rejuvenate. You're going to be subconsciously going over things in your mind, and even if you do fall asleep, it's probably be quite light, and you're just not going to feel as rested as you would if you had that sort of hour, even half an hour wind down before you go to bed. Don't completely give up your social life through exams. I know that sounds kind of counterproductive, and a lot of people will be like, no, you have to give up your social life for exams, you have to stay inside and revise all day. But that can literally lead to intense cabin fever. You will just want to leave the house. You're going absolutely crazy. I mean, don't go out partying every night. Don't, I skipped a lot of college, sort of in the lead up to my exams. Me and Yaz, we like our adventures, and it just so happened a lot of our adventures happened around exam time. I mean, we did stay in college for a lot of it, but something I would say is don't skip classes unnecessarily, and although you want to keep your social life, and you do need to keep your social life, don't go absolutely crazy. That's my point here. Keep your social life, maybe go out, take a break from your revision, go out and see friends for coffee, or, read a book, something simple like that. Just take half an hour out and do something that you enjoy. Don't give up your hobbies. I was lucky that I still had my dancing to go to, and that really helped, because in exams, when I was getting really stressed, I'd go to the dance studio, forget about exams for a couple of hours. So don't give up your social life, but then don't go to social life for the extreme. You do stay and revise sometimes. Now, some people are shower people, some people are bath people. I'm more of a bath person. I find baths so relaxing. So if in that half an hour wind down before bed, take a bath. I found that helped so much, and I could just take my mind off things, read a book in the bath. I mean, reading, okay, so I'm going to merge 2 points into one here. So when you're having your bath, or if you don't want a bath, then just get into bed. Or, I can't really read in the shower. I mean, you could. If you, no, that's probably not going to work. My point is, either have a bath, do something relaxing, read a book, because they're things that can completely take your mind off the subject, and I think it's very good to give your mind a break. That's my point. I know when people suffer with anxiety, especially when it comes to sort of like exam anxiety with going into the actual exam or even going into college, it can be really tough to make yourself get out of bed and go in. The amount of days where I would just want to stay in bed, I want to pretend to be ill, or I would just be too scared to go into college. I'd be too scared to get on the train in the morning, because I'd feel the anxiety of everything made me feel like everyone was looking at me, and I felt horrible. I felt just terrible about myself in gym, where I didn't want to get on the train, did not want to go into college. It's really important to persevere through that, and I know it's practically impossible to do. Make yourself get up. Do stuff like to really push yourself, because even though in that exam period you're going to want to be being nice to yourself because you feel like you deserve to be nice to yourself because everything's really stressful, you do, but if you're going to feel worse if you skip college, and it's going to get progressively worse. I went through a little bit of a phase where I sort of didn't go to college for a couple of days, and it made it so much worse when I wanted to go back, because you felt all the anxiety of, oh no, I've missed loads of lessons, I've missed loads of work, now I've made this so much worse for myself, and you end up just feeling absolutely even more terrible. So make yourself go into college, make yourself go into school, get up, get dressed, do everything that you need to do to get yourself into your lessons, because I promise you it'll be worth it in the end. Now, this is the part of the anxiety that I didn't really deal with that much, but I saw so many people just before exams stood there crying or getting really emotional, absolutely terrified to walk into the exam room, teachers having to console them. And that's a really terrible way to start your exam, and it will feel horrible to be that worked up before you go into an exam. I think the biggest sort of fear I felt before going to exam was for my ancient history, and that was my best exam. Before my ancient history Roman paper, I was terrified. I felt sick. I wanted to cry. I never really got nervous before exams before, because I actually kind of like exams, but I felt absolutely terrified. But I came out of that exam and I got full marks, and that's because I revised so much and I worked hard for that exam. But if you feel unprepared, then you're gonna feel more scared than usual. I felt unprepared for that exam, even though I didn't need to be, but I felt unprepared for that exam. So you gotta make sure that it's all gonna help. If you get anxiety before exams, the biggest thing you can do to help yourself is to really prepare, because if you are unprepared, then you're going to feel scared before exam, even if you don't have anxiety. And if you have anxiety, and in particular exam anxiety, then you're going to feel 10 times worse if you didn't prepare yourself for the exam. So I can't stress enough how important it is to start revising, make good notes, and prepare yourself for your exam, because that's all going to help with this whole start of exam scared panic. Another thing to help with the pre-exam terror and fear, have a good breakfast, drink loads of water. I know these are so typical, but like, I can't stress enough how much they help. Go up to an exam with friends, and if there's no friends in your exam, make sure you know, before you go in, text your friends if they've all got exams, tell them good luck, and you know, do stuff that's going to calm you down. Maybe take your mind off the actual exam and read a book before you go into the exam, or if it helps you, then go through your notes, although I know that sometimes that can be really stressful, because right before a couple of my exams I sat there like cramming, like, no, this is not helping, this is stressing me out. So whichever works for you, but try to calm yourself down as much as you can. I know you can get really panicky. Something that I do in general to help with anxiety is when I have anxiety in a public place where I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack, something I do is like, I look around and I write, let's name something I can see, something I can taste, something I can touch. Basically go through all the senses and name something that is physically around you, or that you can, you know, all of the senses, so something I can smell. It's kind of like a grounding thing. It helps you sort of come back and be aware of your surroundings, but not be scared of your surroundings. I know it's something that makes me feel kind of connected to where I am in a non-scary way, so that's something that if you're terrified before going to exam, you can feel yourself panicking, or if you're just panicking in everyday life, that's something that really helps. It's a technique that I saw and have adopted, and I think it's a really good technique to use. So it sort of just grounds you and makes you feel a lot more calm about the situation. So that's pretty much all the advice I can give. I know that everything is scary and exams are scary because you feel like they're going to decide your future. I remember when I did my GCSEs, I thought it was the absolute end of the world, but I was okay. And then I did my AS levels and I thought they're the end of the world, and I know that I'm going to feel like my A2 is the end of the world because they decide whether you're going to go to uni and everything. But some people don't exam well. I've always been really lucky in that I love writing essays, and in my essay writing subjects, which is pretty much everything that I took for my AS levels, I sort of have a natural thing for essays. It all depends on the exam board you're on and the type of questions they give you. It's so much of it's down to luck, and you could be the absolute smartest person in the world, you could know absolutely everything, but if you go to an exam and don't write it the way they want you to write it, then you won't get the full marks. And although I think that's completely unfair and unjust, that's just the way it is. And so if you don't get the marks that you really want, don't beat yourself up about it. A lot of the time it's not going to be your fault. And these marks don't define you as a person. They can't tell you whether you're really funny or really smart, or, you know, they can't give you like a personality description. They can't tell people like what you're like as a human. So yeah, they are important. I'm not going to play down the importance of them, because they are important, but they're not the end of the world. And I think that's really important to remember, especially if you don't do particularly well, then not the end of the world. So I know this is too late for this year, and if you've just got your results and you're thinking, okay, well this video would have been a little bit more of a help if I'd had it a couple months ago. And I did plan on filming a couple months ago, but I was going through my exams at the time and I was a little bit stressed, so I didn't feel like I was in a position to give this video, because I was probably as stressed as you guys. So, but now looking back in hindsight is a beautiful and painful thing. I can sort of give this video, and hopefully I'll probably end up rewatching this next year and be like, I'm going to take my own advice here, because when it gets to my A2s, I will be a big ball of stress, and it will be very, very painful. All my Polaroids are falling off my wall. Anyway, I hope this helps in any way, shape or form. I mean, it might not, but it might, and so I had this kind of requested, so I thought I would just make it for you people. So yeah, bye.